Hello and welcome to Dynamic Disruptors. Good morning, Caroline.
Good morning. How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing amazing. I'm really excited about today's topic because it's a little paradoxical, extremely valuable for the visionary CEO, entrepreneur who wants to really collapse timelines towards their visionary goals, but feels like maybe the speed at which that's actually happening is a little either confusing or frustrating or just not happening in the way that they expect. So today's topic is really all about the kind of myths of time collapse, and I'm really interested to hear where this is going to go because there's so many amazing angles to this, and yeah, this is one of my favorite topics. So, yeah, Caroline, I'd love to hear just from your perspective when I shared this topic with you, your thoughts around just time collapse in general and like what people think needs to happen, and maybe even your experience around collapsing time in your own business and what maybe that didn't look like. All of a sudden I thought a thing. I think a lot of people think this like manifestation as I think a thing and I visualize it and it needs to be here right now, which doesn't always happen and necessarily that order or that speed. So yeah, curious to hear.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's different angles to approach the topic, and I think it can be super vast. But to make it in a nutshell, I would say is try to achieving more in less time, and we have most of the time the impulse of ramping up productivity with. In the business, and we add more tasks and we just try to squeeze every minute to maximum the output. But I think if we reflect on it, I think the real key is learning how to prioritize, and the difficult way of approaching that, I think, is to focus on the right action rather than more and more actions. I think that would be the way, from my own point of view, to approach it. What is your point of view on that?
Yeah, 1,000%. So that idea of needing to put more action, the more doing around the thing often slows us down, which you would think if we're approaching this from a linear kind of way, right? A lot of the people that I work with, they will come from a very logical standpoint of like, okay, well, I want to go from A to B, so I need to take all of these steps. But actually, time collapse is number one, like for me, obviously working in the realms of energy and that kind of refinement, that it's not always how much action you're doing, but it's the being behind it, the energy, the foundation behind it. So what is the a question to ask, or what is the foundation of those actions? Are you acting in a kind of like a scarcity, or I need this to happen, or like white knuckling it because we want to have control over it, as opposed to if you are open to your own intuitive experience, where sometimes you will get a nudge in a direction not related, not relevant in any way. And what most people do, ignore it because that's not going to bring us, that couldn't possibly collapse time, but yet it does. But yet you decide, you know what, instead of adding more action, let's say you are feel called to, you're driving and let's go to this coffee shop. That's the thing that comes to, I see a coffee shop, I want to go there, let's explore. I have no idea why I feel called to go to this coffee shop. You walk in the coffee shop, then what happens? You're online, you overhear a conversation, somebody behind you, they're talking about, I don't know what, something related to your business. You turn around, you make a connection, and then from there, like $1 million deal, happens down the line, right? This seems really incredible, but I have personally experienced this kind of synchronicity and power, and that what happens. All right, you drive straight to the office, you drive straight to wherever you go, and you sit down at the computer, and you continue to pump in more action. Whereas that thing that seems like stopping for coffee it's too slow. It's not relevant within what you're trying to create. Actually, it is. So I love sharing stuff like that, because that is what has literally happened to me even just this week, where the thing that I decided to go to didn't make sense and actually collapsed so much time for me personally, and like where I wanted to go with my business. So I love sharing that, because that's kind of a myth, right? And it's almost like the slowing down to speed up, right? To like choose more intentionally what the action is. So we can do that from, the intuitive side, and then we can also just do that from, okay, if I'm burning myself out with all these actions, that doesn't make any sense either, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. And then you address different topics here, from the collapsing of time, and then the serendipity, and then all these things that comes together. And I think that it creates a vast universe of things that you can really trigger and activate. I think
Mm.
disruptors and entrepreneurs are in constant motion. This is the way they work. They process complex information. They need to innovate all the time. But I think, to me, you need to go beyond that and to take action that will actually move the needle, and to know which action moves the needle the most. So I will push the serendipity aside, because we had a topic on that, but I will go more into the intention, the intentional pose that allows for clarity, the opportunity that you allow yourself to gain perspective on things, and then allow yourself to get the mental space. So the achieving faster, being constant motion is okay, but if you don't intentionally create room to make sense of the challenging you're facing, and allow your brain to tap into more intuitive guidance, so here is the serendipity coming. um, you won't go anywhere. You feel that you're in constant motion, but it's ripple on water, I would say.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need really to identify and have this intention. The first thing is to say, okay, I want to sit, I want to analyze beyond the noise. What am I going to do next? And what's the next mean to me, so that I can progress? And the slowness I'm taking right now will create such a speed that you will achieve so much. So may I, in 2 seconds, use probably a analogy that I think it's quite amazing to me. Is, when you launch rockets in space, you have your rocket in the launch pad, and you're about to launch. But what does it take to launch? Sometimes the most potent action lies in waiting for the right moment. So you need the weather forecast, you need the crew, you need to fill in the boosters, and then the weather forecast is not good, so you need to cancel or postpone. And then when you launch, well, you launch a rocket at 20,000 kilometers per hour orbital space. So suddenly it becomes a hyperspeed. So I think this analogy to me is quite interesting, because all this slow time you need to take to be in the stillness, to create the perfect environment to launch, and to launch in orbit, and to follow the orbital pattern that you've set. All these things need to click and be in the right place at the right time, but it takes time to do that.
Yeah, I love, love, love that, because the image in my mind is that moment before liftoff, which is like this really, really tense, like when you watch it, it's an extremely tense moment, and it's the rumbling of the engines, and that's the point where we've put in all of this, like you said, the time out to intentionally think of, yes, logically, right, in your business, what actually moves the needle, and then energetically. And I think there's kind of two parts to this I want to address, because a lot of times that tension, it feels like nothing's happening, and it's very, very tense, where you've intentionally extracted yourself from the noise. You've really worked and have been focusing extremely intensely on a single goal, and then you don't see it right away. And this is where a lot of people fall back into old patterns, will start to doubt, like, did I do the right thing? Is it going to lift off? Is the weather okay? And you start to ask these questions, right? And then you stop that momentum. And there's so much energetic beauty in that moment of that tension before liftoff. And this is why I love talking about this, like the resilience needed for the visionary in that energetic moment, to be able to hold high amounts of tension and unshakable self-trust, knowing that you put extreme intentionality into those actions, laying those foundations, and then trusting it even when you don't see anything yet on the outside. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's like liftoff, right? And so there's that image in my mind that I love around that. And then also with when you are moving with intention, when you've kind of decided, it's looking at not only the actions that are going to move you forward, but really having the self-awareness of that underneath that layer. Why are we taking this action? Is it from scarcity? Is it from shadow? Is it because you think this is the thing that needs to be done? Are you doing it because you're afraid of another another maybe result that you think shouldn't really happen, or this is a little out there, or this is gonna crush my reputation, or there's so much at stake. I think a lot of people will not move with the most potent action because there is high risk in that. But when we understand like the energetic foundation of why we're moving, and if we're moving on really this a very pure intention, being able to hold that tension of risk, of the unknown, this is where the most potent actions and intentions come from. And I love talking about this because that's that like deeper layer of like, what fuel are you putting in this rocket? So we can go with this analogy for, but what is the actual fuel? A lot of people will actually waste time putting the wrong fuel in because they think this is how it should look like. This is what success should look like. This is what my business should look like. This is how I'm supposed to act. This is what I'm supposed to share and not share. This is how I'm supposed to move, instead of taking that risk and really doing that thing that's going to push that project, whatever it is, your business, into literal hyperspeed. So I had to just rewind a little bit and go back into what is the fuel, right, that we're putting into that.
Yeah, totally. I think I do agree with you. There's it's not a pose, it's not a stop, it's not a laziness, so it's not this fear or flight or fight of something. It's a strategic pose. It's slowing down to reset, but to hear your internal navigation system. And instead of, I think the word navigation system could be a right one to say, okay, I'm not lazy, I'm resetting my entire navigation system. I'm not fleeing, I'm resetting this navigation system, because it triggers something inside. And we know there's lots of tension between wanting immediate results and taking decisions and rushing things out, but you
Yep.
finish by being totally mentally fatigued,
Yeah.
mentally out of place. But if you take the exact space to quiet your internal noise, you allow yourself to recalibrate, you listen to your instincts, and you redefine your identity. I think this is where the activation is going. And
Yeah.
this intentional process of decision making, of internal guidance system that you activate, it's really important, and it shouldn't be taken as laziness or something of the sort, which people tend to see from the outside, but it's not. It's just recreating, taking moment of relaxation, uh, bringing the best idea out of your reflection. You return to renewed energy when you do that. You're laser sharp focused. And this is what you need, because you need to go beyond all the noise, beyond all the fear, and your navigation system will point you straight back to the north, and say this is the direction you need to take, and you will be totally clear with this. Even if people will say no, that's not possible, you will know, because your identity will be there, your guidance system would have been reset, and your intention and recalibration will be point to the right direction.
I love this. Yeah, recalibration. That's such a good word. That's such a good word. And this whole process, right? When we are in this momentum, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, CEOs, visionaries, their big goals. We love that feeling. I love that feeling of yeah, this kind of energetic momentum, and things are flowing, and I'm doing things, and then there's a lot of generation, like you're generating things. However, this can lead to a kind of burnout. That's where we really do feel like there's this spinning, this spinning, this spinning. And a lot of times the fear is, if I extract myself, what's going to happen? If I extract myself, is my business going to, fold, or people are around me, they need me. I'm a leader. So if I do that, what's going to happen? But actually the opposite happens when you, and this is the thing where, for instance, why people get downloads in the shower, right? Why people get all these ideas when they're driving their car, right? Your mind is in a different state. You are not feeling like you're, I mean, unless you're really all about being productive every second of, in the shower, you're not necessarily thinking about being productive. And it's almost like this little portal that gets to open for you so that you can receive. And so if we are not keeping this kind of energetic channel open, if we're always in the mind, we're always in the action, there's no room for your internal navigational system for you to actually tap into that. And I think when a lot of people do this, they are so surprised. Like when they come into my space, this is my favorite thing to hear, is they're so surprised how easy it is that they can just do a really small thing, and that small thing has this like infinite effect, this infinite outcome that just all of a sudden opens up this new opportunity, or this new idea comes through, and they act on it, and that moves the needle. Instead of so many people will come to me, doing all the things. I'm doing all the things. What's wrong here? And I have even with like energetically, I have my 4 a.m. meditation, and I'm working out, and I have like 5 different coaches, and it's like, well, how's that working for you? Because if you don't take the time to actually learn how to open that channel and sit still, which is, I also know, is highly uncomfortable for someone who enjoys the momentum, but even that slight slowing down is going to, yeah, I use big terms, but it's going to infinitely affect what you're able to create in your present reality and in your business. So yeah, that's something I love. We can go on for hours
Forever.
on this topic.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think there's a shift that needs to be made between being constantly reactive, and you said,
Mhm.
well, if I leave my company, is everything going to be collapsing? Well, if you think that, you need to clearly shift your thinking, and shifting from being totally reactive to things to proactive thinking. And the proactive thinking needs to take a step back to explore new perspective, to have a clarity, and these clarity create solutions. It's the right thing
Yeah.
to do. So I think
Yeah.
for us, and for me in particular, with the retreats we propose to clients, and when they go there and take the time to pose, this is a perfect catalyst for this. They change their environment, and then they allow themselves to create the space to innovate, to have more solutions, to get this guidance, internal or otherwise guidance, that will lead them to different actions. And that's what you say. Sometimes you're in the shower and you have a thought, or you want to do something, you don't even know where it comes from. And this is
Yeah.
that. You need to listen to, this something that is around you, the vibration, the all the things that makes you who you are, to define what you want to do with who you are. And this is more of
Yeah.
a, metaphysical probably topic here. But you need, as an entrepreneur who's an innovator and wants to push things forward, to think differently than any other, you know uh, manager or entrepreneur who would love to, who has goals and want to achieve things. But if you go beyond that and say, I want to work for humanity, or I want to have bigger goals, yeah, the time of posing and the time of reflecting and having this broader view is extremely important. And the downtime creates a sense of, and understanding more patience, not only patience with the others or for the others, but for yourself as well. So you become patient with yourself, so you allow yourself to listen to yourself. So I don't know, this topic can roll
I
into
know.
different.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah.
in just closing what you were saying around this, we're talking about, okay, downloads in the shower. So imagine, right, having an entire week, extracting yourself, allowing yourself to tap into this deep flow, being able to relax your mind and body. So we have the physical 3D aspect, and also the energetic aspect of, okay, not only am I going to create that space, but then my job is to assist in, yes, helping you create that kind of flow, and see exactly where maybe you've been ignoring these little portals of hyperspeed, to see where in your identity you've been not really showing up in the way that you are here to show up in the world, and really get into where that next level of innovation, of self-mastery, of inner power, because there's definitely something we need to look at in terms of where are we leaking energy, and all of that. And so what I love about what we've created in essence here is that my work is very potent, very laser sharp, and very transparent. I know, Caroline, you know me, so like I just say the thing. This is really about you collapsing time. Like, we don't have time to, it's not about necessarily like, cutting everything out of your life, but it's about seeing the exact thing that is in your way, that is keeping you at the plateau, and what identity you've been perpetuating around it. So imagine that shower download, imagine having an entire week of accessing this infinite data of your genius, mapping out an entire plan, both in your personal life, how you're going to move through the world, and in your business, to see exactly, have that energy diagnostic around your business, to see where we're leaking, where we can close up those gaps. So then, instead of, always thinking the future's here and you're always trying to get there, but it never quite happens. This is where we pull the future to you through activating this new identity and opening up that channel for innovation, new ideas, and yeah, really living out your destiny legacy, as I like to call it.
Yeah,
So,
that's
any closing thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think you're very right. We touch multiple topics here, so we can really probably put that to another life. But I think that you're totally right. Instead of rushing through the list of things we have to do, we might also realize that we can delegate. So if you leave for a week and you're just stressed out to taking your flight, so how is it going to be when I come back? Well, you have to take the action to
Yeah.
delegate, to
Yep.
trust,
Yes.
to manage the people who are, you know, in this mission, in this vessel that is your company with you, and move forward with you. And they need to be to embark into this journey also with no fear, no you know, expectations that things going to collapse, because if they have that, yeah, this is where the big problem is. But if you manage to intentionally pose, to create a space, to take small act of, you know, stepping back to make a big leap, yeah, this is where the movement, the shifting is going to happen. Your mental
Yeah.
space will be so clear that when you come back, it will be so clear how you will express that to others. And then you take time, very simple things. You take time to silence yourself. I'm not talking about your phone, because you need to silence your phone, obviously, but to silence yourself. You can journal, you can meditate, you can take nature, walk in the nature, and all these tiny little things just add up to suddenly open up yourself, and then you can adjust and see the bigger picture. It's very,
Mm.
very subtle, but as soon as the bigger picture is created, this is where the time collapse happen. This is why the villas that we propose are essential, because they can keep on having the teaching with you, but also at the same time being in an environment where all this process can be totally
Yeah.
understood and opened. So I had a think last time about solo entrepreneurs. I didn't know if it was the right thing, but I you talk about cafe earlier, and I thought, when you're in a cafe and you have your own little store, you have so much things happening: the inventory, the customers, the finance, the frantic pace, etc. So I think every entrepreneur will put that into their own dimension. But if an entrepreneur like this, who have this frantic cafe, decide to close for the weekend, at first it sounds, are you bonkers? Are you going to close for the weekend? But if you close for the weekend, you sit and you take time and you start seeing the bigger picture, you're going to say, oh, probably I need to put some tables outside. So some people will go outside, see that I serve so and so cafe or new food, and then
Mhm.
they will come in my cafe. Or probably I see that between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, when no one is there, I get plenty of freelancers that come. So probably I can create a silent space where freelancer can spend the whole day in my cafe, totally in a silent environment. But instead of buying one cafe, they can buy 4 or 5 cafe a day. So you increase
Yeah.
your sales with it. You see, but it can't
Yeah.
happen when you're in the middle of the fire extinguishing
Exactly.
everything. It comes when you
Yeah.
stop. And then you realize, though, if I do that, probably it will help. If I do this, probably it will help. But only the silence, only the reset of your internal compass, only the understanding of the time collapse aspect that you really push forward to, really, you know, you're pushing the boundaries here, is understood, that things happen. So I don't know if it's the right example, but I
No, I
thought that
love
was.
it. I love it. I'm ready to go to that cafe. No, that's it. That's it. The slow down to speed up. The slow down to speed up. It feels very paradoxical, but that I think is a beautiful analogy around that. And with that being said, for those of you who are watching live, who are watching the replay, we'd love to hear your comments around this. We'd love to hear maybe where you slowed down and realized you were speeding up. I'd love to hear those examples in your life, and any questions that you have around any of these topics. And of course, we'd love to invite you to experience a transformational, a bespoke transformation of Villa experience, where we will tailor an intensive from me, a remote intensive, and you get to choose a villa of your choice, where you can then extract yourself from the noise and really open yourself up to create at far higher levels, slowing down to speed up, so that you can really take that time to look at with absolute precision, where are those places that you are leaking energy? Where are those places that you can take a step back and start to listen? Where are those places that you can essentially put that incredible rocket fuel into your rocket and catapult whatever project you are creating in the world? This is really something special that we've created. So I will leave the link for that. You can have a call with Caroline and we can explore what that looks like specifically for you. So thank you.
I think that's the perfect format. So
Yeah.
I really love what we can build together between your teaching and my retreats, my villas, to build those retreats. I really love it, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not gonna go away.
Same. This was so much fun. As always, we hope this was valuable to you. Please comment below. Feel free to connect with us. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care.
Have a lovely week.
Bye.